Welcome everybody to Tea and Chi. And today's episode we have Jack Alexander. And
Hello.
For everyone who doesn't know Jack already, because I know Jack personally, I've received healing work from him and spent some time at Island Kava, a great sober bar with lots of holistic medicine, and we have mutual friend group, right? And Jack is a friend of mine, and I try not to, I guess, reveal that most of these people I interview are my friends, but the secret is out. So, Jack, for everyone who doesn't know you, why don't you go ahead and just introduce as much as yourself as you'd like, and a bit about what you do.
Definitely. So I'm a acupuncturist and herbalist located in Northport on Long Island, New York. And I just recently started my own business doing acupuncture and herbal medicine, and I love what I do. I've been meditating for a long time now, and also I love tea. I love green tea. It's the only, I can't really drink coffee and do acupuncture. Green tea makes my hands steady during my work. So I love that.
Cool. So do you have some green tea with you today?
Yes, I got a big mug of pomegranate green tea. It's like a loose leaf green tea, like a sencha green tea. And yeah, it's really good. My friend gave it to me and I love it. It's very, very fragrant.
Nice. I have a funny story about green tea. So my Uncle Paul is pretty much like Uncle Iroh from Avatar: The Last Airbender, who people keep bringing up in my TNT show. And so my Uncle Paul used to was an executive chef for P.F. Chang's, big, huge Americanized Chinese restaurant. And so he would go on these trips to China and Japan, and he loves tea and got this awesome, like, really high class Chinese green tea, and brought it back to my grandma, who's his mom, who we call Tutu, and she drank it and she's like, it tastes like grass. And it's like this really expensive, high grade, nice green tea. And he's just like, he almost like refuses to drink tea with her anymore after that.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of an acquired taste, but once you get used to it, it's like, it fuels me. It's my fuel, green tea. I drink it like every day. And it definitely, it's like a clean feeling. Like you have I feel like it's very detoxifying as well. So
yeah, that's my experience with the green tea as well. Very clean. Has nice, I feel like the flavors go nicely with lemon. Right now I have, what I'm drinking again is ginkgo biloba, dried ginkgo leaf tea. Wow. And it has a really almost like woodsy, mushroomy taste. It tastes like really old, which it is. The ginkgo biloba tree is ancient, 230 million years ago. The genus ginkgo biloba was created, and just since drinking this starting yesterday, it's been a profound cognitive function amplifier, brain healer, stress reliever. It's been almost shamanic the way this plant medicine has, just the dried leaves of this ancient tree, just really physically, mentally, emotionally clearing me right out. It was really, really an emotional experience, really. So that's will lead me to today's first topic, and kind of the theme of the show is Jack, as many of you already know, is a licensed acupuncturist and a Chinese medicine practitioner. So what would you say is a good reason why somebody who's not familiar with Chinese medicine, why should they, or should they consider going into Chinese medicine for healing themselves, or even a possible career path, or just a path of helping heal others?
Well, I think it's a super positive way of healing. It's very complementary to the Western method. And I really think our healing process as individuals is really incomplete without a more holistic approach. When you just have Western medicine, you have wonderful cures for symptoms and for emergencies, but with a holistic medicine like traditional Chinese medicine, you have the ability to balance your body in a way that is hard to do without a ancient medicine practice like Chinese medicine or Ayurveda. Also it definitely has some longevity boosting properties, and also it helps you understand the world in a totally different way, and your body, which is an amazing benefit when you can understand your body from a more holistic perceptive, rather than just breaking it down into pieces. Well, like, this is my brain, this is my lungs. When you can understand how all those organs and energies work together, then it really just really like enlightens you to the functioning of your body, and how both you can work on it physically through plants, massage, qigong, yoga, and you can work on it through mentally, meditation and mindfulness, and using herbs to strengthen the body. It's really just an amazing practice, and I've been so blessed with being able to be able to do this as my work. I just kind of fell into this in life. Like, life guided me here, and I just accepted it, and I'm so grateful for it. And I think anybody could really get into it. You don't have to have any background in anything specific. I know a lot of people who became acupuncturists after whole careers in business, in computers, and they were just like, I feel like I need a change in my life, and they just changed their entire existence and went back to school for acupuncture. And I really think anybody can do it. And the most amazing thing about doing acupuncture and herbal medicine is you get to help people, and you get to help people honestly from like your heart. You get to work with people like one-on-one, and that's something that in these times, in these increasingly technological and distant times, that is a miracle worker for yourself and for others. It's just a wonderful thing.
Yeah, can really feel the embodiment of what you're saying. There's a lot of Chinese medicine practitioners in the world, and there's a lot of medical practitioners in general. But how often do we really meet somebody who embodies that? That's something that you're sharing with us on this special day. It's Earth Day, and honoring Earth Day includes honoring our roots and honoring our connection to Earth. And while holistic integration of Eastern and Western medicine is key to moving forward as humanity, when Western medicine becomes Western capitalism, that's where we draw the line as medicine people. I'm a medicine man, you're a medicine man. There are many beautiful, powerful medicine men and women on this planet who will genuinely want to heal you and not have this motive of establishing money empire. And the reason I bring this up is because synthetic drugs is a manifestation of our disconnect from nature. Western medicine is making loads of money like you would not believe from synthetic drugs, because these drugs can be synthesized, which means they can make them for free. They have a laboratory running 24/7, pumping out this fake medicine that doesn't do anything for anyone besides negative effects, which goes against the Hippocratic oath, right? The oath of Hippocrates is do no harm, right? Harmful side effects is harm. And I won't say, I won't physically say certain companies and certain things happening in the Western medical world right now because of censorship and how things are going down this sort of dark route. But what I will say is Chinese medicine and Chinese history has not only increased the quality of my life, but it has showed me the ancestral path of communion in harmony with nature. The ancient Chinese believed that a merchant, somebody who sells you something, tries to sell you something, is the lowest form of human morality. It's lower than slaves, lower than servants in ancient Chinese culture. And we're seeing that now. We're seeing how that in Western society, merchant is up here now. And it's killing us, literally killing in every sense of the word, including the planet. And our love collectively for Mother Earth has to lead us on a path back to the ancient ways and back to Chinese medicine. And in honoring the medicine like ginkgo biloba, the ancient ginkgo tree, and honoring the green tea medicine, we are more likely to care and nourish for those plants, care and nourish for that soil and the elements around us, because it's mutually beneficial. So I'd love to hear your perspective on not only how Chinese medicine can help us personally, because that's gone far beyond proven, because there's Chinese people that live to 120 and are still practicing full kung fu and full qigong forms. So it's evident already that it's hugely better than Western medicine, unless you break your leg. Like if you break your leg, go get Western surgery. But if you're depressed or if you have any sort of ailment that is anything less than something needed surgically, Chinese medicine is the way. So how can Chinese medicine kind of lead us not only egoically, personally, self-oriented, but how can it lead us collectively to a more expansive philosophy that includes nature as a part of ourselves?
I would say that like when we began to think more holistically, more systems based, more that everything is connected, then we have no other choice than to realize that we all are connected, that when we do wrong to another person, then we're really doing wrong to ourselves. It's really more in changing how we think rather than changing how we act, because our actions come from our thoughts. You can try to impose yourself to act a certain way, but really you need to, all you got to do is start to think in a different way. And that, so Chinese medicine allows us to think about our bodies in a way that it's a whole system. Each part is a different puzzle piece. And that's the way the world is. You know, every part of this world is a different puzzle piece, and any side or viewpoint that is left um, unaccepted by the mind, um, absorbed by the mind, will become something that can be like a disease. You know, that the ancient Chinese thought that all, and this is like the way ancient, that all diseases were caused by spirits, and the negative spirits, they call them gui, ghosts. And really what I've been like thinking, and what it seems to me what this is, when you look back in some of the ideas of what this means, because it kind of got lost over the years, is that these spirits are not what we think of as spirits. They're actually what Carl Jung would call thought forms. And thought forms are actually the things that cause disease. And that's what we're seeing in this world right now, unfortunately. And it's always been that way, but it's been getting to a little bit of a head recently. But it's really these thought forms that, when you allow them to be uncontrolled, unabsorbed by your consciousness, unaccepted, then they become this spiraling energy, which the idea of gui in Chinese medicine is this internally spinning, sucking inward energetic form. And that's what a thought form in its negative sense is. It's this kind of like this spinning energetic form that's pulling energy out of your consciousness. It's a separate ideal or a separate idea that's separated from you and is unabsorbed by your consciousness. So I think from that viewpoint, I think that's really what the problems in the world is right now, is just that these ideas are separated from our acceptance. We're not able to really fully integrate them because we're not coming at them with conscious, mindful perception. If we can truly be present with any issue or problem, it will dissolve, just like the thought forms and the gui that inevitably will cause physical disease. If you can be present with it, with your consciousness, it will dissolve. And so in Chinese medicine, consciousness is called Shen. And Shen is the opposite of gui. It's an externally spinning, outward pushing. And that's when people say expansive consciousness, that's what it means. It means your consciousness is expanding. It's literally expanding. And when you have thought forms, which is all in the mind, that is internally pulling. So when you bring your consciousness to it, you can expand those energies. And the crazy thing is that in Chinese medicine, consciousness is located in the heart. That's where Shen is located. If we can use the energy of our hearts, the consciousness of our hearts, then we can break through these blockages that are in society right now, or in the world, in our own minds. And, you know, it's really up to us, and we can do it. It's inevitably going to happen because humanity is evolving to be sentient through their heart rather than through the mind.
That's
So
such a missing part of, or I wouldn't say missing, I think it's just because Western medicine is so young, right? Eastern medicine, and even what European medicine once was in the ancient past, the placebo effect, right? So Western medicine has kind of scratched the surface, and they've found out, oh, if somebody feels good about something, like they take this sugar pill that's just a little thing of sugar, and it's this presented to them in a way that this is a miracle cure that will heal your mind, body, soul. It will be the best thing ever for you. And then they create that through their Shen. But on the same note, what we're seeing now in this whole world dilemma now is exactly what you just said, is people are being manipulated by gui. And this is something that Chinese medicine knows and has been practicing for centuries, beyond centuries, that if you get people afraid, they will create stress in their body. They will literally create a disease that wasn't there. They will create tension, all of these things, and they're transferable. When you meet somebody who's just negative, moaning, complaining all the time, you feel that. And then you start feeling that way. And then in the opposite, when you feel somebody that's coming from that Shen space, and they're always giving you praise, giving you love, giving you ways out of your suffering, ways into the light that's present at the end of the tunnel of your consciousness, you get that healing, you get that light. And that's what I experienced when I first got into Chinese medicine with my qigong master TJ Frank, was that sense of, oh, none of this is physical. Like none of what I'm experiencing in terms of like dis-ease, right? Being not at ease, like tightness in the body, whatever it is, even common colds and things like that, everything in terms of what you don't want. Every single time I healed it through a healing session, from my own practice with Reiki, or through qigong, or receiving acupuncture, shiatsu, or any type of massage therapy from teachers like TJ, it was always emotional. It was always the gui that you were describing. And I'm so glad we got into the shamanic portion of Chinese medicine, because there's so many herbs, there's so many teas and everything that you can, and dietary stuff that you could do. But when it comes down to it, when I have tightness in an area of my body, ultimately it means that there's some sort of thought form, some sort of ghost, or Western world they would call it a demon, that's really just my emotional, mental complex creating something that's not beneficial for myself or nature. And if you look through history, you look at these time periods in the world where you have massive amounts of disease, like look at the Black Plague. People lived in so much fear during that time period. People lived in a stage of humanity where it was literally, oh, God hates you, you're already sinful, obey the good Lord, the lords and lady of your kingdom. You have no rights. Everybody is subject to being hung or being killed or kidnapped at the expense of at the willingness of the empire or the monarchy. And so people were afraid. People were literally creating all these gui, all these demons that they were afraid of, were really coming from inside. And this is something that people need to get down if we're going to progress forward in humanity in terms of evolution, the next step of evolution. We have to understand that there's more than just the physical. We have to get that holistic health comes from the invisible first, and then we handle the external. But we need to handle this internal consciousness first and make sure that we're plugged into a good source. It's just my laptop was running out of charge a bit, so I had to notice that the charger was unplugged. So we have to plug into a positive source, whatever source of faith or energy that is unlimited, whether you are totally scientific mind, connect to the Big Bang. Seriously, connect to that primordial energy and feel the expansiveness of the universe. All of that energy is more than we could possibly even need to survive. For somebody like myself, I'm committed to what my ancestors were committed to, my ancient Hebrew ancestors, my ancient European ancestors were committed to God, Goddess, all that is. And although I'm not religious anymore, I still have very strong faith in the absolute, the all that is, that sort of cosmic creator energy, God, Goddess. And so that's what keeps me going. But for everyone, there's a different source, but we need an unlimited source. We can't be constantly running on empty. We can't be constantly pulling from small sources of energy. We need to pull from a larger force. And even if you become a Jedi and you pull it in from the living forces of the universe, the Force, that is just equally as good and sunshiny and bright as any spirituality that you can have.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's like the key to healing in general, is that within you is is your perfected form. It's not like something that like, oh, I have to work on myself to find myself, and yourself is already in you, perfected. You just need to reveal it. You need to strip away the layers of programming that is hiding that. And that perfected force is to me is the same as the great spirit. You know, a little bit of that great spirit is within us, and it's complete, and we don't have to, there's nothing external that we really need to depend on. That's why, like, you know, there's yogis that can go, I don't even know how long without eating, you know, like, because they're so highly advanced that they tapped into that perfection within them, and they're able to just subside off that cosmic energy. They've broken through all the blockages to that, and they just allow it to go right through them. And that, you know, that's what I'm trying to do. Not there yet, but one of these days, you know, that we are bound to get there. That's where, as humanity, that's where evolution is going. You know, it's already within us, our highest form. So we're getting there. We're plugging in little by little.
And that's something that just continually pleases my own consciousness about Chinese medicine, is this idea that's so polarizing to this Western idea of, oh, there's something wrong with us. Humans are the virus. We're the problem with humanity. Chinese medicine says the opposite. Chinese medicine says, no, we are naturally, if we just act natural, if we just are all natural, organic, living beings, then everything is perfect. The mysterious forces of the universe, the way of the universe, works itself out. And in the West, we're so obsessed with this idea of order, right? We have all of these corporations and societies focused on this order, right? Let's get everything into order, people into order, villages into order. But that's chaos. That's dis-ease. That's real arrogance to question the glory of what is natural, what is the ultimate. Organic nature will always be more substantial, more miraculous than what is mechanical. So when we return to that root of, as you said, we are already a perfect soul. We were born as a miracle, and we will die as a miracle. And we don't need no Neuralink from Elon Musk to make our brain any better. We don't need no this thing that people are trying to put in, that's this technology that's going to make us better. Every technology that we use, whether it's a simple tool or a most complex supercomputer, makes problems. Nature doesn't make problems, it makes solutions. And that is the essence of Chinese medicine, as I know it and as you've shared, is nature knows. Everything lives and dies, but what lives for each other, the trees that live long, long lives are constantly putting out seeds, constantly putting out flowers and fruits and laying down, letting go of their leaves and branches to give back to the earth, giving back energy constantly as they're pulling in that cosmic chi, that cosmic energy from the universe, constantly giving it back. And that's what the Taoist sage, Chinese sage Lao Tzu said is the reason why nature is immortal is because it lives for one another, it doesn't live for itself. The more selfishly you live, the more likely you are to die a more gruesome and more spiritual death. Like the great sage Tupac Shakur said, it's not something I'm not gonna, I usually botch people's quotes, so I'll probably botch this one, but death isn't the worst thing in life. It's what dies inside of us while we're still alive. That's the worst thing in life. And that's what Chinese medicine prevents. It prevents this spiritual death, right? Where it's so afraid of physical death. But when you physically die, your energy moves on, even if it just returns to the soil or returns to the air, or your soul goes on to another dimension. As I experienced when I had my near-death experience, is that your soul's going to live on, but what's your soul? How does it look like? How healthy is your soul? Because ultimately, I think the most foolish, stupid thing anyone could ever do is trade their soul energy for financial energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think anyone who does any sort of Faustian path, and it's out there, dark magic is out there that you could trade soul for gold. Even if it's more likely to be a corporation that you give it to rather than a like Hollywood or something like that, rather than one singular evil being that the West describes. But coming back to a space of the soul is perfect, what does the soul want to do? And there's so many different aspects of the soul. I would love to get your take on the different aspects of the soul and body complex within Chinese medicine and share a bit about the philosophy of what are the different organs called, what sort of spirit do they have, because I know a bit about it, but I know you know more than I do about this, and it's just so enlightening for people to hear about this.
Sure. So one thing before I go into all the conceptualization of it is that we are in my opinion, we are basically immortal, but what we associate with what we are is in this age is not immortal. When you find what you really are, when you find that perfection within you, then you realize, oh, that's what I really am. That's what's immortal. That's what can never die. That's what I really am. What I've been thinking that I am is not what I am. But so basically in Chinese medicine, there's a few different parts of the soul or the spiritual energetic being. So you have the Shen, which is the main consciousness. Sometimes it's considered the mind, but I really consider the Shen the consciousness that's located within the heart. That is really considered who we are. But there's also different parts of this consciousness. There's the Po, which is located in the lungs, and that is more the body consciousness. That how the lungs is like these cyclical movements. It's like this consciousness that's located just within our body. It's like kind of like how like if you get a cut, the body heals itself. that's consciousness. Like that's the consciousness of the body. It's not like a consciousness where it's like, okay, I'm like thinking and stuff, but that is a consciousness in itself. It's like this lower vibration consciousness, not in a bad way, lower vibration. It's just as essential. But that's more, that's what the Po is. It's more considered to be linked with our lungs and our kidneys, which is really the root of our essence, our Jing, which is basically our, if you got a candle, that's the wax of the candle. And this is a part of our soul, which is considered by the Chinese to dissolve. It goes back into the earth when we die. So we can't take that with us. We can't take the Po with us when we die. But we do continue our Po, at least in my opinion, through, you know, our offspring. That's a part of our Po that survives, you know, that's the physical form, but we our Po dissolves back into the earth. And then there's another part of our soul which is located in the liver, and that's called the Hun. And that's a very interesting one because it's it's related to the element of wood in Chinese medicine, which is a very expansive element. And the Hun is very interesting because it can move. Like it's responsible for our dreams. So when we're dreaming, when we're sleeping, the Hun is moving all over the, you know, it leaves our body sometimes. Sometimes you don't want it to leave your body too far because that's disturbed sleep, but it's moving all through the universe sometimes. And that's the part of our soul that supposedly lives on, you know, that part of our soul does not die. And the very interesting part about these two parts of the soul, the Hun and the Po, is that they are in the Chinese word for it. There's the word gui within these words. So it almost entails like a ghost. Like it's almost like that part of your soul that like a lot of people in the Western world think of the Hun is. It's almost like this part of your soul that like can, you know, move around, and when you die, it like is almost like a ghost. But to me, like I don't know if this is actually what was intended, but to me, what we are is a combination of that ghost, that internal movement, that sinking, contracting movement of spirit, and that Shen, that expansive movement. And really, to exist on this plane, we need both the Gui and the Shen, because without it, if we just had Shen, we'd just be just enlightened, I guess. You know, we just return back to the source, and our entire existence would be complete, maybe. I don't know. But if we were just Gui, we'd just sink and we'd just be a puddle of nothing. We'd just be just matter. But when we have the Shen and the Gui combined, and this is just my opinion, that's what allows our body to move. That's what allows our body to breathe and to communicate and to make art, is this essential balance. But a lot of times, like when our Gui is too heavy, like when that internal contracting force is too heavy, that's when we feel like depressed. Or even like when our Hun is imbalanced, we feel anxiety. It's trying to move all over the place. It's not controlled. But when our Shen and Hun and Po are all in balance, then we're a balanced being. We can make art, we can heal, we can communicate, and we can love. So that's just, you know, how we, and the amazing thing is that they're related to these organs. So you can use Chinese medicine, you can use herbs to balance the Hun. If you have anxiety and you feel like your mind is moving all over the place, you can use Chinese herbs to balance that. If you know, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, some of the experiences that I've had with the physical aspect of Chinese medicine is the medicine that comes first and foremost to mind is reishi mushroom, right? So reishi mushroom, I think what the Chinese name for it is ling ji
Lingzhi.
lingzhi. So the reishi mushroom is this beautiful mushroom that's like kind of, it grows on trees and it's like this amber brown kind of shiny color. And when you ingest it as medicine, it is supposedly a powerful healing force for your Jing, which is your physical energy, your physical and your ancestral and sexual